So South African A and versus Sri Lankan A tour is on underway, and we've had our first game on Sunday. It was, and it was an interesting one. Encounter that a lot of people were very um, vocal about on social media in general. And I think it was a perfect time for us to be able to have a chat about this and talk about the game, talk about where they were at, what happened in the match, and also talk about the next game that is going to happen tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. in South African Standard Time. So today's show is going to be about this particular match and what took place, and some of the reactions obviously were quite crazy on social media, particularly about one player, and you know which player that is. So let's get straight into today's show. Let's discuss this. I would like to hear what you guys have to say in the live chat as well, because it's very important for me to get your opinions about this particular game and what took place. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to do. Please subscribe to the magazine. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. The latest issue is about the season, the last season review, and also it's a look ahead at the new season as well, which is also a very important way for you to think about the new season, looking at the new players that will be involved, etc., and the coaches' mentalities going into the new season and what it is like to actually prepare for a season so far ahead. That is also something that we speak about in this latest issue. If you want to help, if you want to support us and what we are doing over here, then please become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. There are different tiers, affordable tiers for you to be able to help support us and keep us going with regards to all of the content that we are doing right here for you. I'd also like you guys to please smash the like button, comment, and share. Please smash the like button. It really helps us get into recommended feeds and it helps us grow our channel. We 60 subscribers away from the 4K mark. That's our next milestone. So please help us get there very quickly by sharing it with friends and family that are into cricket in South Africa. And then go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show, your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South African A's tour to Sri Lanka. The first game has concluded and it was an interesting one for all of us to be able to see. I'm going to be sharing the scorecard with you guys so that we can go along with it together and what happened in the match. So Sri Lanka won the toss and opted to bat first, and they scored 264 for 8. Now, it was an interesting one when you look at the fall of the wickets because we had them pegged back at 39 for 3. And this was largely due to some wickets from Lizard Williams and Bayer Swanepoel, obviously making the best out of their opportunity to playing in this particular match. And picking him, and then obviously Luther Pamla as well coming in with an amazing performance as well over there with his first to pin them back at 39 for 3. And this was what they were sitting on for a little while. They scored a couple of runs and then they were down 96 for 4. But it was and guys, don't judge me for butchering these names. I always struggle to pronounce the Sri Lankan names, so just bear with me. Nishan Mudushka, he's the one that got 68 of 82 balls, at strike rate of 82.92, and he kind of leveled the I could say the innings for a while. He actually got them to 119 before losing his wicket, and then in stepped Sihan Arichigi, I think is how you pronounce it. And he's the one that he scored only 22 of 32 balls, but it was the partnership between Bandara and Lianage that got 76 um, of 79 balls, 41 and 51 deliveries as well, to really take them to a decent total and to put a competitive total on the board ultimately. Um, Janith is the one that actually stuck around until the end to really get them to a competitive total of 264 for eight. But I think South Africa took wickets at the regular stage to get themselves to keep themselves in the match. But it was Lutus Pamla that stood out with 3 for 33 in this match that really put South Africa in a decent position. The only person not to take wickets is Senator Mutasami, and he's also the only bowler to have bowled all 10 overs, which is unfortunate for him and unlucky for him. And we would obviously like to see more, seeing that he's going to be the main bowler for South Africa. I mean, that he's going to be one of the main spin bowlers on the tour. So that's a bit worrying to see that he didn't take a wicket, but there's a long tour to go, and we'll see if we can get more opportunities to do so. Another standout for me over here is that Deva Brevis bowled 6 overs. 1 for 40 is what he ended up with. So taking a wicket, of course. And that's key for me because it was also a very big wicket of Bandara. Obviously, that also turned the game in South Africa's favor a little bit, or brought South Africa back into the match, kept the pressure on them before they kicked on past the 200 mark. But it's good to see that he got an opportunity to bowl, just as Shukri said. So in the comments that we read out to you by Shukri Conrad ahead of this tour, there was a lot said about the fact that we want to see the likes of Stubbs and see the likes of Deovat get bowling opportunities. And they put Deva Brevis in a position that many people were not agreeing with online. I saw a lot of negativity online about where Deva Brevis was batting, and that he wasn't batting in his natural position, as people would say. There was quite a few people online going quite negatively at this decision, and I want to try to bring some clarity um, into this to have a conversation about this and see what the reasons are behind that and what my understanding is behind it from looking at the situation and trying to understand um, the situation. So this is what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put some context into the matter and try to understand the direction that everyone's going with. So let's go on to the batting innings because that's obviously where Deva Brevis really stood out. So we had a collapse in the top six. I mean, we were down, I could say it was 155 for six after 30 overs ultimately. And the top scorer over here was Keegan Peterson until that point, and 35 from the captain, Tony Dazorzi. So South Africa weren't in a very good position. And then Deva Brevis came out at 7 and Bayer Swanepoel at 8. And the pair put on over 100 runs as a partnership to take them over the line, take South Africa A over the line. 98 of 71 deliveries, 6 4s, 7 6s, and 138.02 strike rate was Delvart's score. And Bayer Swanepoel equally impressive. 5 4s, 1 6 at 153.57 strike rate. Magnificent batting from two players that were players that were given opportunities to see what they can do in the situation. All of us were talking about it before the game, before the series, that we wanted to see opportunities given to the right people. Now, let's put some context into what is happening with the likes of Deelwald Brevis. So we know that across platforms, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, I haven't seen I mean, I don't think we've created enough engagement on Instagram to be able to pick up on comments because, I mean, people consume Instagram content differently than on other platforms. It's less about opinions in that I've experienced on our channel, at least. It's less about experience and more about um, less about interaction and comments and opinions than it is about um, words of affirmation more than anything else, and also just celebrating some of the things that we've experienced in general. So the comments on Instagram aren't as harsh and critical as it is on, like, for example, a platform like Twitter. Now, a lot of people were like, "What is Shukri doing?" So I'm trying to put myself into the shoes of the coaches and trying to think of this logically instead of getting upset and emotional about it. As I think many fans probably do, is we do this. We all are probably guilty of this in any sport. I mean, I support football as well and rugby, and it's natural for us as fans to be very emotional or get irritated or get angry or have various emotions about the sport, and that's what our roles are as fans. We shouldn't lose that passion, and we shouldn't lose um, that belief in our team that we want to see them do the best that they can. But it would be crazy for us to um, expect that same response the way we respond as fans in our coaches. So, me personally, I would not want a coach to get over emotional and get up in their emotions when they're making decisions that affect the team and the future of the country and cricket. I want rational decisions to be made that are thought through. Sometimes decisions that are made can be a little bit out of the box, and we must try. I always push for people to try and seek to understand. When I started off as a fan, I was not that type of fan. I was very emotionally driven, critical. I would get upset or angry about certain decisions made rather than trying to understand why decisions were made. And I made a very concise change in my life personally on the way I support my teams, especially, like, for example, United. You guys don't, if you ever want to see me really get into a match and stuff like that, as well as watch the Proteas play or watch Manchester United play. Cricket, I don't show it as much because it's not it's as compact. The issues aren't as compact. It's spread out more. You can relax more in cricket than in football, for example, where there can be decisions happening every 5 6 seconds and things happening. So I go quite crazy when it comes to watching um, United play. So I'm guilty of that too, guys. When we get into something and be passionate, and then we go crazy about it. But I'm trying my best to try and be a little bit more rational and try to put myself in the shoes of the coach. So even when it came to Eric Ten Hag, my manager this season, I tried to put myself in his shoes, try to understand the vision, try to see what he sees in certain players. Like, there are certain players that we might think are crap, and I still think are crap. But then I try to understand why they have been playing or why they were selected, etc. Now, similarly with the Proteas, I try to put myself in the shoes of the coaches, and you could say they're the selectors too, to see what direction they're going with. Now, I'm going to bring up the quotes from Shukri once again, that was mentioned in an article on Supersport by Werner, and in a conversation I've had with Shukri as well, he confirmed this too. Um, it's a great opportunity to see someone like Brevi with a ball in hand. We would like to see him in pressure situations. He's the type of character who thrives on that. It is a great opportunity for Breve and Stubber off spinner to get a few overs and give us that option. If they're really good on tour with the bat and ball, I might just give Rob Walters a good option or a headache. We also want to give Sen an opportunity as a spinner. So that line over there is very important. They think that Devald can perform well in pressure situations, and he has a type of character who thrives in pressure situations, and also a great opportunity for him to bowl. And he also wants to give Rob Walters a good option or a headache. Now, what do I read into that sentence? Okay, so when I look at the Proteas, because we need to be logical and about this decision, the Proteas currently, if you look at their 11 or their top six, they've got Temba Bavuma, who averages 50. You've got Quinton de Kock that averages above 40. You've got Rassi van der Dussen that averages over 60. And then you've got Aiden Markram that's form is rising, plus he adds an option with the ball. And then you've got Heinrich Klaassen and David Miller. That's your top six. Tristan Stubbs at the moment, who a lot of people think is ahead of Deerwoud with regards to white ball cricket currently, or at least the coaches think so. He's kind of in the back on the bench in a way. So when I look at the top six, then you have Riza Hendricks as well. Sorry, let's not get off track here. We got Riza Hendricks as well on the bench, who is a very good batter as well. I'm talking now about T20 and ODI cricket. He's been excellent in T20 cricket, and he's finding his form in ODI cricket again. Very good domestically as well. So when you look at the top order and who's next in line, there are a lot of people ahead of Dewald when it comes to the current setup and the current position. So the issue that South Africa have at the moment is finding a number seven, because a lot of us are saying we should play an extra batter. Now, particularly, I know you guys are talking about Test cricket, but I've seen a lot of other fans talk about ODI cricket as well, and getting a finishing type of player that can come out and play with freedom under pressure and really push you over the line to win games. Um, that number seven spot currently, we've been playing a lot of bowlers that can bat a little in those particular positions. Shukri tried him at seven for the Sri Lanka A game, for the South Africa A game, and in this particular case, it came off. He came out, team was under pressure, five down, and he went out and he smacked, and he did really, really well to win the game ultimately for South Africa with Bayer Swanepoel. Now, the fact that Bayer Swanepoel also performed is a good boost for South Africa as well, I think, because that's another player that can bowl and bat, that South Africa have another option with regards to that looking forward. Now, if you see it from that perspective, if we can have ease Deva Brevis into an ODI setup, because everybody wants to see him play for South Africa. Now, it's going to be very difficult for him to play at his natural position as an opener or as number three or four in the ODI setup as it is currently set up with the players that are averaging the averages that they are currently. Now, we can go and take a risk with a youngster right now, but I think in the World Cup is 2023 is around the corner. I'd rather take a risk with a youngster in a position that isn't really cemented at the moment. There's a lot of opportunities for people to really put up their hands for that number seven position. And I can see that. I can see that vision for him to play for South Africa in number seven position. Add a couple of overs with wrist spin, because I mean, wrist spin, I always say wrist spin has something extra than off spin. It's just something magical about it. And he's been regularly taking one or two wickets across formats. I mean, in T20 cricket as well, he's been taking wickets. I mean, he even took the wicket of Virat Kohli in last season's IPL, not this season, but the previous season. So he his bowling mustn't be underestimated either, because he has also spoken about it quite a bit that he wants to improve his bowling. Um, in a conversation I've had with him at the T20, was very excited to work with someone like Rashid Khan, who was at the my Cape Town team, to improve his wrist spin. So I think that for South Africa, at the age that he is, we've spoken about it in the past about protecting certain young players. Now, this is not necessarily protecting him, I would say, but it does help him. It does help ease the pressure on him a little bit. Um, because there's one thing being able to come out and bat, because we know that 7-6 position is it's a erratic position, I would say, because you're not necessarily you're not it's a very unstable position, because you can't expect people to come out every single game and come out smacking. Not even the best finishers in the world do that on a consistent basis. You expect your six and seven to come in when the pressure's on and win you a game now and again. We don't want to be in a position when we're 6-7 down every single game. So I like the fact that we would be putting Dewald in a position that is kind of protected from by the top order, and can come in and play with his natural freedom. He's not going to be um, hampered by maybe losing his wickets early, maybe being caught out, etc. When he's playing in the top order for a lot of games right now, because we have players in those positions already. If we were struggling in that number three, four position, and we weren't sure about who we were going to play there, then it might be a completely different story. If the World Cup was maybe in 2025 instead of 2023 right now, then in my opinion, I would think about it and say, you know what, play a youngster right now, let him get familiar, back him and trust him. But on the flip side, I do think that we have new coaches in that are bringing a new mentality, and already we've seen a whole different direction that South Africa is going in, especially with regards to um, the amount of cricket that we are playing now as a SIA unit. The fact that they've pushed for SIA tours because they couldn't get test tours is a good sign. And also the national coach being involved with the SIA side, both national coaches being involved with this SIA tour is a good sign to me too. Because before, coaches wouldn't do that if they were the national team coach. You wouldn't see your national coach travel with the SIA team and try and really give time and attention to those next generational players. So there have been quite a few decisions that a lot of people disagreed with through before this whole tenure of Shukri started, and majority of them have come off. Backing Temba Bavuma and making him captain came off in the West Indian series, even though he got two ducks in his opening game. He came back. Came back and came back strong, and he scored a massive 100 at the Wanderers. Tony De Zorzi, giving him an opportunity and at three immediately, not maybe protecting him and maybe playing him in that sixth position. So the top order, backing Aiden Markram again as a top order for opening batter. A lot of these decisions have paid off. Same with Rob Walter, giving Aiden Markram another opportunity in ODI cricket. It's looking like it's going to pay off right now. And the backing of Aiden Markram in T20 cricket as a batter. I think the way his batting has improved over the last couple of seasons in T20 cricket has been remarkable. I mean, even in the last World Cup, you can say as well. But um, so there's a couple of decisions. Gerald Coetzee being given an opportunity in Test cricket as well. That's paying off. So there's a lot of decisions that he's made that has paid off so far. So for me, the criticism that is getting, by all means criticize, because that's what we as fans do. Everybody has a right to their opinion. But I'm going to be a fan that tries and that's going to try to trust the process over here. Um, because the decision to bring Dewald in at seven actually ended up, I mean, that decision actually saved us, him batting at seven. And a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but if he can bat at seven, then he can bat at four. But it's completely two different situations. We don't. That's like, I don't know. You can't really necessarily say that. You don't know if that is going to be true or not. That's just a that's a I think that's a weak argument because you don't know if that would have taken place. The pressure is different, the situation is different, the batter that you come with out to bat with is different. There's a lot of the bowlers that you're going to be facing as well are different. Majority of the time, if you lower down the order, you're not necessarily going to always face the best bowlers, opening ball, new ball, swinging around, etc. So the decision came off over here as well with regards to that. Um, so I think I'm going to try and trust the process when it comes to the coach because I like what I've heard from them in press conferences. I like what I've heard in the interviews that I've had with Shukri. I like what I've heard from Rob Walter in the conversations I've had with him. So it's and as well as with what Enoch and Nkwe has had to say about the future and going ahead. There's also something that we mustn't disregard with regards to Dewald is the relationship that Shukri and Dewald has. I don't think any coach knows Dewald. I don't think there's many coaches that know Dewald as well as Shukri, is what I should say. They've been together. They've been to as a coach player pair for a while now. He knows him from a kid. Now going into as a SA under 19 player, now as a national player as well. Hopefully, cross fingers that he plays for the Proteas. So I trust that. The one thing I do trust when it comes to Shukri Khan is hasn't been necessarily very wrong in the past. From what I've seen when it comes to very young players, is that he has an eye for understanding which players have the right mentality for the national setup. And that is something that I've seen firsthand from the days of JP Duminy, Vernon Philander, Herschel Gibbs to an extent was okay, a lot older by that time, but a lot of young players have come through his guidance, whether it be at SAA, whether it be at emerging, whether it be at national academy or the S under 19 team. So when it comes to youngsters, it's the one thing I'm not going to. That's the one thing I'm not going to question him on at all, because I think that he's a way bit more of an expert than I am when it comes to younger cricketers. And I'm a person that invests a lot of time into trying to understand the next generation of talent, watching them when they are at Kaya Majolo weeks already, and trying to find the next best talent. Now, I've been very um, laxy daisy on that in the last couple of years because of COVID. When COVID happened, I missed the Kaya Majolo weeks. And since then, I haven't got an opportunity to go to a Kaya Majolo week. So the next one that comes around, I need to make sure that I find my way to go and watch that, because that is the one place I've always used to try and give my time and effort and prioritize. I always prioritize that in the past. So I'm going to have to redo that. And also another person that we could say is also Marco Jansen. The way he's backed Marco Jansen as well, Test cricket, and now Rob Walter as well in white ball cricket has really paid off too. So yeah, let's trust the process. Well, I'm going to be that fan that's going to trust the process, and um and if things are a bit orthodox, I'm going to see it play out first before I start criticizing. That's at least the stance that I'm going to take, because otherwise I'm going to lose my mind if I go crazy about every single unorthodox decision that is made. There's going to be a couple of tests. There are going to be a couple of experiments here and there. Some are going to be paid off. Some are going to pay off, and some are not. Some are going to work out, and some aren't going to work out. So that's just natural about sport in general. I mean, I see it every single day in other sports where you see certain weird decisions made, and then you think, why is the coach doing that? And then it actually works out. So I'm going to be trusting this process going forward. Let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. Brandon Naidu says, given where Shamo's confidence is, what do you think about Kish as first choice and then Markram and Brevis as the part timers? I like that idea a lot. And given that Keshav Maharaj at the moment, we're not 100% sure what his recovery is like at the moment. I haven't actually checked up to see how he's doing. Um, the It will be interesting to see if he'll be fit, because at the moment we're not sure whether he'll be fit or not for the World Cup. So it's possible that Bjorn Fortuin will take that position in Keshav's position, and then have Markram and Brevis as part timers as well. I mean, we've always said that we don't have that batting strength. I think what I like is it excites me to for the thought excites me of having a batter as talented as Dewald come in at 7, can offer you a couple of deliveries with the ball, and you have that secret weapon to come out and smack, and you can still pick the bowlers that you want to pick. I think that's strength, because we've all complained about our number sevens. I mean, everybody knows that we're not really happy about the number 7. But what if we can have a batter there that can actually bat? I mean, that excites me personally, because I know that he can offer 6 overs here and there. I mean, they can Markram and him can actually share the responsibility. And I wouldn't mind actually seeing that, especially if there is a youngster and you have a top order as experienced as they are now. We need to see some form from some of the players at the top order now. I mean, particularly Rassi hasn't been in the best form, but I believe that guy will come right. And I think 3 is a nice position for him, because he has the time to actually sit and play his natural game, because we know it takes his time to get in. And you know that when he gets in, he can really be devastating. So, I mean, so far I like it, the idea of it. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out. I see a lot of people asking why Deva Brevis batted 7. Are these games you put the players in certain scenarios and see how they come out? Or Deva responded well under pressure. Exactly. Shukri as a top 6 for ODI World Cup set in stone with Quinny. Well, it's Rob actually, but Quinny, Temba, Rassi, Markram, Klaas, and Miller. As it stands, 2 all rounder at 7 and 8, Barney, Janssen, Kesh, KG, and Nokia. In India, you need the second spinner. That's Markram for now, but Brevis at 7 gives you the spinner. for a few overs and lengthens the batting. Nice idea. Not long-term fix for Dioval Brevis, but works for now. Exactly, and that's why I think it's a what we've all been calling for him to play more South African cricket for the South African team. Everybody wants to see him in the Proteas setup. This is a safer way, I would say, to introduce him to the to pressure situations within the South African setup, taking the burden of performance away from him, where he would get that if he's batting at 3 or 4. I think it's a smart move personally. I thought it was a. I thought that this was what they're going to try to do before the series when I looked at the lineup and who they picked. And when Shukri mentioned the fact that he's going to spin as well, this came into my mind a little bit. It did. It passed. It was something that I thought about, but I didn't think that he was actually going to do it, which he did, and it came off. So it's nice to see when the coach tries something new, when the coaches try something new, because Robbie's also there on tour as assistant coach over here. It's interesting to see what these the way they think about certain decisions, and then when it comes off. That's I like to see that. Um, Brewer should play for a professional team, seeing Bavuma isn't in on form. Huh? But Bavuma is in form. Markram and Rashid doesn't give so much confidence while playing spin in middle orders. And the World Cup is in India, which playing spin will be vital. So Brevers could possibly back up. In my opinion, if Brevers continues this type of form for the rest of the tour and does well with both bat and ball, I won't be surprised if he goes to the World Cup. He would be the perfect number 7 if there's no Linda. I agree with you over there. Swanepoel might also be an option, but I don't think we'll need 3 seeming all-rounders in India. That's a fair point as well. Lawrence Bailey, both Parnell and Janssen shouldn't go to the World Cup, says Ilias. I'm not so sure about dropping Pani and Marco. Um, Me personally, um, they both offer something. I think when Parnell gets slipped on a bit, I think people actually don't give him enough respect. Um, yes, he should be doing way better than he has been doing, I think, especially with the bat. But he offers something with the ball. Um, and is one of the few bowlers that we do have that can bowl a Yorker. I just think that he needs to work on those pressure moments a little bit better, performing under those pressure situations. Lawrence says, I don't see him as dropping both Barney and Marco for the World Cup, in my opinion. What is the injury status of Keshav? I said earlier on the show that I'm not 100% sure about Keshav. I will try to find out from him how he's doing and see if he's improved with regards to his injury and what's happening with his recovery. I doubt Keshav will be fit, but will be a massive injury. How do you see Lungi feature because he is not regularly in the 11? Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's a sad one for me too. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be doing with Lungingidi. Um, he hasn't been a regular necessarily in the white ball arena or the test arena currently, so there's a lot of work for him to do. You know, they might work on maybe a couple of things with Lungi. Maybe he's going to go back to him bowling more pace deliveries than slower deliveries all the time. I do think that T20 cricket and the burden of T20 cricket has changed the type of player that Lungi is. We're seeing him bowl a lot more slower deliveries, back of the hand, slower balls, change ups, cutters, etc. Rather than actually just coming through with a good action, with a smooth action and getting the ball to bounce in good positions and move across the seam in good positions, bowling at a high pace. Now his pace has increased over the last couple of years. He also got a lot leaner, so he's looking a lot fitter and a lot stronger. Um, but let's see what the project is with Lungingidi and what the coaches have, what the coaches' vision is about Lungingidi. I would personally like to get Robin Shukri on a show to try and speak to them about certain players and allow you guys to actually ask them questions. I mean, I will try to get them on the show in the future so that we can have a discussion with them as a fan base to try and ask them certain questions about the game and what their vision is about the future. Rivers Seven is a waste of his talent. I don't agree with you over there because international cricket, he's going to be, if he plays at seven in international cricket, he has the freedom to express himself and play his natural shots. He's a player that can play, that plays, he plays with freedom. And playing him there at the moment at this young age, I don't think is a waste. I mean, I don't think he will get an opportunity batting at for 3 or 4 for the national side, especially when you, especially particularly at three or opening, because remember that he opened for the Titans in list A cricket, in T20, in list A cricket, in T20 cricket. I think it was in T20 cricket. So he hasn't been necessarily batting as a number three for the Titans. He's been opening for the Titans. So opening position, the captain and Quinny, and number three is Rassi. They all average above 40, 40, 50, and 60. So to drop them for a youngster that hasn't necessarily played a lot of list A cricket is a difficult decision to make for anybody. He hasn't necessarily played a lot of games for the Titans either in list A cricket. So there's, I think at seven it takes the burden of performance off him, and it allows him to play with that freedom and also work on his spin bowling, so that when we are ready to trust him, when Rassi decides when Rassi is over and we transition him into the number three position, he's already played for South Africa. He's already played a couple of games. He's already understands the pressure of international cricket, playing with freedom. So when he goes into the number three position a little later on, when Rassi leaves, there won't be as much of a settling in period for him. So I think it's a good way to blood in a young talent actually. To especially when there isn't a number seven in South African cricket currently. Pretty simple for me. The top six is settled. Hence, Brevis was played at seven. There is a plan, and Rob Walter and Shooks know why they batted him at seven. And it was a decision. That's why I like that there's two coaches, because this would have been discussed between the two of them, and they would have. And how can two people that are as greater coaches as them or as good coaches as them both make that decision and it have no weight to it? That's the difference. How's electricity crisis in South Africa has it improved? Bro, not at all. It is worse. Majority of the time we get load shedding 3 times a day, sometimes 2 times a day, and in some occasions we get a 4 hour load shedding period. I've been hit with it at weird times. I normally get the 4 o'clock to 6:30, and then 10 o'clock to 12:30 time slots, and the 8 to 10:30 time slots though in the morning. So I get those time slots majority of the time, but the ones that kill me the most is that 10 o'clock to 2:30 in the morning, the 10 o'clock in the evening till 2:30 in the morning, as well as the one around lunchtime, the four to supper time around 4 to 6:30. So people have it in different times, of course. It depends in what area you stay. There's different zones, and then obviously you get different stages. So certain zones might get it in the morning between 8 o'clock and 10:30. Some will get 10:30 to 12:30, or 10 to 12:30. Some will get 2 to 4:30. Some will get 4 to 6:30. Some will get 8 to 10:30, 10 to 12:30, and then sometimes you get the 4 hour one, which is the bummer, because like even if you have like UPSs or whatever the case may be, a lot of the time those things don't last the full 4 hours anyway. So it's been tough. I mean, load shedding was so crap. I had to watch the FA Cup final on my computer, on my laptop, because even the places, the ulterior options that I had load shedding too. I was going to go to a cousin or go to a friend, and they both had load shedding. So, and none of them have inverters or none of them have generators. So I had to watch them final on a laptop, um, which is fine because we lost it anyway. What are your predictions for watching the final? Huh? For what are you talking about? I don't know what you are talking about. Okay, can you please explain what you're talking about? He was benched in IPL last 2 seasons. What is your predictions for the WTC? Oh, for the WTC final. We've given our predictions on the previous show, myself, Werner, and Stuart, on 2 shows ago. So you can go watch that to see. Um, I said India, um, because of the swing. I just think that their swing bowlers, um, like I'm scared of Mohammad Sami. I've always been. So I think that the conditions, it depends obviously on the conditions, but I think that India will be a little bit more skillful with its swing deliveries. Although I know Mitchell Stark will be fit as well, so he'll be dangerous. So for me personally, I'm going with India, partly also because they've been there already, in a final, you know. And the last time they didn't win it, so at least we can they've have some experience of this situation already. Perhaps can bowl also with the time he could be moved up. Where can we watch the highlights of the SAA game? It's not even streaming, bro, on YouTube. I looked on YouTube, on Sri Lanka's YouTube channel. It's not streaming. It's not playing on TV. It's so we can't watch the games, unfortunately, which is really crap. I thought they were going to organize a stream for us on Sri Lanka's YouTube channel, which they didn't do. So unfortunately, there are no highlights, and there's no way for us to watch it. So it is what it is at the moment. Steve Smith started as a leggy for Australia, just to find a spot for his talent. Brevis could be used as a floater according to the overs left in the innings. That's also a very good option. Quentin Lecoq is an outstanding player, but he is a massive failure in all ICC tournaments. He has played for SA. I hope this year's World Cup is the change of fortunes for him in the ICC tournaments. I think that Rob and Shukri will be able to work on Quentin Lecoq's mentality and focus. I think that Quentin de Kock kind of, over the last couple of years, has kind of lost almost the the passion almost was lost. I feel like just by looking at him and seeing what his body language in press conferences, his body language on the field, etc. It looked like he lost a little bit of passion, giving up Test cricket. But recently, seeing him, he seems a lot more chirpy, a lot more happy, and a lot more excited to be a part of this Proteas setup. And I think that he would get along quite well with both Rob Walter as well as Shukri Conrad. And knowing the way he thinks and the way he speaks about the game, I just feel that he knows how to get the best out of players like Winnie. Um, and simplifying the game for them to a way that they can get the best out of him. So I'm hoping that it comes off, and I'm hoping that he will be able to get in the right frame of mind for this 2023 World Cup. Now we do know that the major focus is on getting players ready for the 2027 World Cup. By that time, Kwani might not be in the team. We might have a new opening batter coming into the mix. Um, It's unfortunate that someone like Jordan Herman, for example, didn't perform in this match. It's someone that we all wanted to see play and perform. Um, and it's unfortunate that he didn't perform, and it's unfortunate that Matthew Brzezinski didn't. But that's what this tour is about. It's an opportunity to give these youngsters opportunity to play against international conditions and friendly conditions, etc. And no highlights available. Why? Because I don't see it streaming anyway, guys. Other than Brevis, everybody struggled, and that's true against Spin. Just for one list, just for one less win, SA aren't playing the final. Yeah, BLM issue affected him, says Jatan Hans. We have had so many coaches, so new coach won't change much mentality. It's up to the players. No, I actually don't agree with that. We've had a couple of coaches, but to be honest, this is the first time around that I've actually liked and can see the vision of the coaches. A lot of the times in the previous years, coaches would say one thing and then do something else on the field. They'd say one thing about youngsters and giving opportunities, and then not give those players opportunities when it really mattered. They'd say that they're going to do X and then do Y. So, for example, even the way they've handled this Faf du Plessis situation, this could have easily gone the AB route. Like the coaches made it clear that they'll have a conversation with Faf, and they did so. So the whole AB situation, the way that was handled, wasn't that great. Um, and I think that is not only with Boucher. I'm talking about that's before Boucher, 2019 World Cup already. I mean, the whole mix up, and first he was going to play, then he wasn't going to play, then Amla was not going to play, and then Amla was going to play. Like the one thing I like about this coaching regime is that they've said what they believe, and they've actually went out and tried it. They didn't say one thing and then do something else. And when they made decisions, and they've backed their decisions, whether we like it or not, because there are some decisions we didn't like. For example, Carl Verreynne, perhaps George Linde, perhaps. Those are two players that maybe a lot of us would have liked to see get opportunities. They've said that they've given their reasons for why not, and the players have been open and honest with me on this channel. Both Carl, both George have spoken to me and told me that conversations were had with the coaches. Previous regimes, those conversations did not happen with the selectors. And that's a big, massive difference, I think personally, between the last regimes and this regime. No calls were made from the previous coaches to give the players some incentive, to make them understand where they stand within South African cricket. Those conversations have been had, which is a massive improvement, I feel, than in the past, from what I've seen personally. And also, journalists have been um, informed about decisions made. When we've gone and reached out to the coaches, they haven't blocked us. They've been open with journalists, and not only myself on this channel, but all across the country. The coaches have been open and honest with journalists too, giving them interviews, speaking to them, and explaining themselves to those journalists, which wasn't the case with previous regimes. Um, I mean, getting a interview with Boucher was almost impossible. Like I tried, it was almost impossible to get. So, where, as you've seen on the channel already, um, we've interviewed Shukri Conrad already on the channel right at the beginning, before he was just when he was announced as coach. So, I mean, the opportunities that they've given us as journalists as well to try and to understand what they're doing has also been good. So I've got mostly good things to say about the current situation, but I'm not going to be biased about the situation. I mean, obviously, if I see something I don't like, I'm going to say it and speak about it. Just because we've had good interactions on this channel with the coaches doesn't mean that means that they are not um, that they're protected from criticism. Our jobs as fans is to see what we see and then speak about it, and then criticize when the criticism is necessary. So I don't think we should hold back when it's fair. Um, all my job over here is on Cricket Fanatics magazine is to try and give different perspective to what the norm is, because I try and now not react on my instinct, my first instinct, and try to think it through, and try to understand why decisions were made. Now, when we do reviews after a game, etc., you guys are going to come for the craziness. I know you guys remember me going a bit whack at the T20 World Cup. I went a bit crazy on that stream. So those things will still happen on the channel. That's for your guys' entertainment. Um, I try not to like suppress that, because I think it's only fair that I'm honest and open on this channel with you guys, so that you can actually see the real me. So when it comes to reviews of games, etc., serious games, I mean, like games that are actually official games, then you're going to see that raw reaction from me straight after the game and my thoughts immediately. And sometimes on those streams, I'll probably be able to um, I'll be thinking on the go. So a lot of things will come to me as I'm speaking to you guys. I learn a lot from you guys in the live chat too. That's why I enjoy this show so much. Is because when you guys engage with me, give me your opinions, it makes me think differently about the show. I'm no expert over here, guys. That's trying to become this expert where I want to try and be this expert to you guys and try to lecture you. No, this is a learning experience for all of us. I think what Cricket Fanatics is really about is for all of us to go on this journey together to become fanatics of the game, because we are all students of the game, and I want to be all of us to be able to learn. Now, yes, do I get insight from players and coaches, etc., by giving these interviews? Yes. That what makes me maybe learn certain things faster, but that doesn't mean that I'm better than you guys or I know more than you guys. It doesn't mean that at all, and that's why I bring these interviews to you guys so that you can improve with me. I don't want to be the only one improving, and I don't want to be the only one learning new things and you guys not benefiting from that either. So it's we all in this together, and I want us to grow our knowledge on this game together as it goes along. Chatan says Shukri did good job in improving atmosphere in the IPL. Also, he was good. Um, 2027 is too far. Rather try for 2024 T20 World Cup. That's definitely on the cards. They're already pushing to try and do that, but they want to win their home one. Everybody wants to win the home one, the home World Cup. We have bad. We had board issues always. Also, coaches have power until selectors comes. After that, the same thing will repeat. There's not going to be a selector, so the coaches are the selectors for now. That's the decision they made. They decided to not go with selectors for with a national selectors panel. They decided that the coaches are in charge of the team, which I think is a positive move forward. When S is going to start playing, uh, I don't remember this out of my head, guys. So let me just go to the. I have it on my website. We play in November, I think, is our first games. Let me just double check. I have everything on the website. Um, 1 second. Bring up our FTP quickly. So Australia tour to South Africa 2023 happens in August. I think that's the next time we play, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody can correct me in the live chat, that would be great. Are you going to India to cover the World Cup? I wish. I mean, if I can get a sponsor to go, then I would. By all means, then I'll go. Um, but at the moment, we haven't found any sponsors for that. So I will try. Um, that's why I need you guys to get involved with the Patron account, because then it will obviously help me a lot to be able to get myself to India for the World Cup. If I can get a sponsor to India, that will be great. I'll see what I can. I'll try my best to try and get a sponsor to the World Cup. Is Harmer still under consideration if Kesh is not fit, or is it definitely Fortain? So far, it looks like Fortain is the one that's trusted in white ball cricket over Harmer. In my That's how it looks. How long can SA go in World Cup? Um, you know what? I think South Africa has improved a lot against spin though. So I think we are actually the black horses in this tournament, because Temba is a good player of spin. Quinn improved against spin. Aiden has proven that he can play well against spin. And another thing that is awesome is that Heinrich Klaassen is a good player of spin. So that's a good sign for us. The team as a unit has improved against spin. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But we've also seen in this IPL that spin wasn't the only thing that was key to the success of teams. So we need to improve the way we play bowlers, because I've noticed that in India that the ball can swing around a bit in certain grounds. So I think we stand a chance as perhaps a dark horse in this tournament. I can see us going into the knockout stages. I'd be happy with a semi-final, me personally, um, of semi or final, of course. Um, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I believe in my team 100%, and I think that with the right players, if they pick the right squad, that we can really compete. I don't believe we're as crap as many people think we are. Selectors won't be there in future. I think that during this period of Shukri and Rob, it doesn't look like they're going to have selectors. No. So far, it seems like the coaches are going to be making decisions with regard to the selection, according to what Enoch has said in his from what I've taken from what Enoch has said in his press conferences, etc. How much revenue can CSA get got for of SA20? I don't know the exact numbers, but apparently they did make a profit in their first year already. Have you been to India? Never been to India in my life. It's a really something that I really want to experience. Mzanzi Comic Club, or Ravi says, definitely improved in spin. Quintercock and Aiden struggle against spin. Quintercock against right arm spin and Aiden against left arm spin. Apatas want to have a good record against left arm spin. They've improved against spin. Um, their their game against spin has improved a lot, though, in my opinion. Um, Aiden struggled in the IPL. All others were good, but Aiden struggled in the. I don't think Aiden struggled in the IPL because he's a bad player or he was out of form. I think that the pressures of the captaincy and apparently, I'm not sure if this is true, but according to some fans from the fan base, there was a lot of problems behind the scenes with regards to SRH. And if you listen to the coach in press conferences, he didn't seem very confident. So that doesn't it didn't seem like a happy dressing room in my opinion from watching the games on TV, etc., and seeing how players spoke in their post-match interviews, etc. And Aiden Markram is a type of player that thrives off a good culture within the team. You saw at the SA20, there was a good culture, good coaching staff, a nice camaraderie between the players off the field, a balance of youngsters and experienced players. Aiden was captain in his first 10 years captain for SRH. There was a lot of pressure after a very tiring period in cricket for him. Having played a lot of games for South Africa, he's at 20, etc. So I think that we should give him a little grace for his first season as captain. Um, because I mean, for the Proteas and the SA20, he was brilliant. In the IPL, he didn't perform as well. So I mean, he was one of the positives out of our World Cup, two T20 World Cup campaigns. He was a positive out of both. So that's a that's something that you can't necessarily buy. We are 10-1 according to the bookies. Of course, we are. Aiden doesn't have a good record against left arm spin. Also, left arm spinner will bowl more to the right hand batter. Yeah, that's true. But how many teams in the world have world class left arm spinners? Um, okay, I think most of them do. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Um, I trust the guy. I'm a big fan of Aiden. Aiden is starting to be overrated now. Even Gil makes him look useless in the IPL. Perhaps you can say that. I don't want to judge our players of the IPL, to be honest. Um, I don't think it's a like you can see the way I reacted. I mean, Heinie Klaassen was brilliant in this IPL, but I'm not running like going around the house running with my top off. Not like anybody would like to see that, but um, it's great if they perform in the IPL, but it's not a be all and end all for me. It's how they play when they put that green and gold on that's important to me. So let's see how we play in that Australia series. It'll be very important to see how these players perform there. Don't we play Bangladesh as well? Wait, let me just check something. So I was talking rubbish. Okay, so 30th of August, yes, South Africa play Australia. Okay, so that we still have a long time to see our players in action again, unfortunately. Oh well. Hopefully we can get another 8 or something that they can go on. Um, franchises don't give grace. He might be out of a team if he doesn't have form next season. I think they'll be a little bit. I think they'll be patient with Aiden Markram, seeing that he's their captain. How do you see Dwan Janssen's future? Can he replicate Marco? I think their rises will be different. Marco's was a very meteoric rise. It also had a lot to do with Dwan's injury as well. I think because Dwan Janssen was fantastic at the Kaya Majolo week, and then he got injured. The same Kaya Majolo week that Marco played. In fact, Marco didn't even make the SA Schools team. I think he made the Colts team. So they their trajectories were different because Dwan got a serious injury. So Dwan will have to work a lot harder now. They play in different franchises and the franchises that they play in have different amount of pressure, different types of pressure that they have to deal with. So we'll see how they obviously progress and how they grow as players. Um, I think Dwan Janssen is an excellent player, and I think that from a talent perspective, him and his brother are very similar. But I think that when it comes to the amount of talent they've been given, their mentality though is different because of their personalities are different. Marco Janssen is more of an introvert, and his brother's more of an extrovert. So, but they come from the same household, so their mentality is still the same, and that's the biggest factor that I like about these brothers is their strong mental strength that they have. Your view about Steve Stock? Well, I can't really give you much about that, to be honest with you. Um, I don't know too much about him quite yet. I just saw highlights reels. So I don't want to comment on that. That's why I said I would like to go to a Kaya Majolo we can actually watch his plays in action. Ishuki trying to emulate baseball cricket in the Proteas setup by trying out aggressive batters like Brevis and Stubbs in the 4-day cricket in the A team. Baseball experimentation for the future. I don't think it's baseball, no. What you guys don't know about Shukri Conrad is that he always had this mentality, even when he played back in the day. I've spoken to a lot of ex um, cricketers and people in the past that have seen him that used to watch Shukri play because I was obviously not around and alive when he played. But even when he played back then and coached back then, he had this mentality then already. So this is just how Shukri is. It's got nothing to do with the influence of baseball. This is just how he is. He's always thought about the game in this way. He's always thought about the game differently to others. Like I used to say, before he was coach, sometimes I would see him sitting in the stands at certain 4-day games and watching the 4-day cricket at Newlands, for example, and I'd go sit by him. And he'd predict certain things, and I would be completely taken aback by it. Like he'd predict certain things to happen, and it happens. His ability to read this game is phenomenal. Just from my experience of seeing him interact with people, etc. So he's always been different the way he thought about the game. It's always been that way. I don't think it has any influence on. I don't think it anything to do with baseball. Looking further ahead, who is exciting for you, Chad? Laycock, Slade van Staden. They both are very, very interesting players, but I haven't seen them in person. And when it comes to younger players, I judge them once I've seen them in person. I can't really see from a highlights pitch vision reel if these players are any good or not. So I'll have to first check them out in person, see how they perform in real life before I can make a decision on them. I like to see how they operate on the field, what their mentality is, how they uh, interact with other players, etc. That will tell me. Speak to them as well and interview them. That's how I will know. Me personally, that's my process on getting to know these players. I don't think T20 does not come. I think T20 does not come naturally to Cal Verreynne. I think you've been talking about. So yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell for all future videos, please. Very important that you guys do so. I see that 40% of you guys are watching the show and not subscribing, so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, please. Also, please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. The latest issue is obviously on the season review and also a look ahead at the new domestic season. We've got some insights and exclusive interviews from players and from coaches to give you an insight into their thinking and how they performed last season and how they're looking ahead at the next season. I'd also like you to help support us by becoming a patron today. If you want me to go to India, guys, get involved with the Patreon account. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. It will be great to go to a World Cup, my first World Cup, because this this whole project Cricket Fanatics started after a very failed, heartbreaking fail to on my pursuit of going to the Cricket World Cup in 2019. On my pursuit on trying to go there. So yeah, so I'd really like to go and begin to cover a World Cup at the stadium. It would be an amazing dream if you guys can help me do that. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again very, very soon for another daily show. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.